Hello, how you doing? Wilbert Cook, Hand Up Recovery Homes. I have a very, very special guest, very important guest to the development of a Hand Up's technology over the years. Matter of fact, the original person to set up our wireless internet many years ago when we had to have modems and everything else, and when wireless sometimes wasn't totally wireless. Some spaces was wireless and some had wires. But anyway, he made it work for us. Absolutely. When we had several other local groups slow responding. He said, I can handle that. And actually his mother is our business manager from the very beginning. She's the lady that helped set the record straight and keep them straight for 20 years. And have made us fiscally sound, and I hear he's as good as fiscal or better fiscal manager. Oh, I better not say that.
Right,
than his mother. She has multiple accounts across various career opportunities, and then he's become a specialist at managing accounts himself. However, without further ado, since I don't know all of his titles or the current title, I know him as Steveon or Steveon or Steve, whichever one, depending on when you met him and how you know him.
Absolutely.
Like all of us, and some people might have a middle name or the nickname.
Right,
But I am honored to have bumped into him getting ready for another show, and he was willing to come in here because we have such a great history. Absolutely. And without further ado, we can pick up where we left off 4th of July, or you can just move on or go way back to when we first started. All right, Steve.
So, Mr. Cook, I greatly appreciate you. It's been a pleasure to be in your presence and, just be around you for the years and watch your growth with the organization. Right now, my title is Senior Program Officer with Metropolitan Peace Initiative. We're underneath Metropolitan Family Services umbrella. Right. Currently in that role, what I do is I work with all of the West Side organization geared towards CVI. So CVI standing for Community Violence Intervention. I partner with organizations like UCAN, Chicago, Breakthrough Urban Ministries, right there in East Garfield, and then my home in Austin, I work with the Institute of Nonviolence. Okay. It's been extreme. It's been an extreme pleasure being able to work in the neighborhoods that I've lived in, and now being a change agent for those for my neighborhood, and just showing those younger guys that we can make it out and be whatever it is that we want to be, which is successful. Being a living testimony of that, it's been a pleasure, and it's been humbling to be back at home and working with my people.
Well, I'm honored to be able to say I've been working with you for 20 years, and you don't even look 20.
Look, I'm trying to
you take that peach fuzz off your face, as the elders used to say, and they'll think that you're a teenager again. But Steve has been giving back to the community throughout his life. Even when he was in college, he was helping us when he was home or not in school, and then throughout his educational process, if ever asked for any help, advice, assistance with the technology, he came over. Matter of fact, one of the worst incidents were we got hacked locally early on in our career, and we moved our financial office to a different area of the building and under more private security. But anyway, however, he was able to troubleshoot, and we resolved the issue. In the interim, we also found out we had a troubled tenant that had an issue beyond the recovery we were working with him on. And unfortunately, God had blessed us to avoid a bad situation. Thanks to Steve, we was able to resolve it and help that gentleman find other housing elsewhere that could serve his other needs that he never told us about. And had he not messed around on the computer and messed it up, in essence, he played on it too long, and he caused some a virus to jump in the computer, and it allowed us to find out that we had a tenant with a issue we weren't prepared or licensed to handle. So we had to let them go to a more licensed facility or independent living. And he chose the latter, independent living. We advised he continue to seek other help. But it worked out for us. And I'm internally grateful that you helped us dodge that bullet, as well as he got all our systems back up and running and better protected for us. From that day forward, we have not had that kind of situation happen. So I want to thank you again. It's 20 years later.
Look,
we still rolling. No more tech problems. But
going.
Also, it's good to know that you helped me with a lot of older gentlemen primarily. There was maybe 1 or 2 out of our 20 a year, 10 at different times, you know, depending on our population up and down.
Yeah, it fluctuated.
But it was usually no more than 1 or 2 in the below 30.
Yeah.
Here or there out of 10 or 20. It was still only 1 or 2. So, but now you get to work with young folks in that arena from 18 to 30 a lot that are potential victims of violence, perpetrator of violence, and or both. Yeah. And trying to turn those lives around. So I commend you.
Absolutely.
And helping work with the big programs people know, but it's a guy helping make sure all the financing stay good, as well as trying to help advocate for them whenever possible, additional funds to help do more work in the community and possibly even bring on others. But you want to tell us a little bit more about your program, because I know there's 2 or 3 components to your program. Mm-hmm. And if you want to go ahead and just take over and talk on each point of the program. Okay. And then if it's a way people can try to get on the radar of Methodist Family Services, how people out there that might could get on the radar.
Yeah, Metropolitan Family Services is probably one of the state's oldest family services program. Under the umbrella of Metropolitan Peace Initiative, we have the CP4P model, which is Community Partnering for Peace. Started back in 2017 and started locally with a few organizations. It's now branched out to about 16 different organizations under the CP4P umbrella. And what we do is we work toward making Chicago a safer city. My portfolio is primarily the west side of Chicago, where I grew up. And what we do is we partner with those organizations I named, like UCAN, Breakthrough, and IMVC, and we sit down and we strategize on how to reduce violence in our individual neighborhoods, right? So we're looking at North Lawndale, we're looking at East Garfield, West Garfield, and Austin. In those 4 communities, we're working collaboratively with not only the residents, but local stakeholders like other smaller organizations that may not be as big, but still have a ground root in those communities, and just coming to the table for resolution, right? Trying to understand what are our commonalities, what are our challenges, and how do we move forward together, right? They say if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go together. Right, and I think CP4P is a prime example of what working together can do for us. Prime example, North Lawndale piloted a program called the North Lawndale Collaborative. With this program, they teamed up with, like I said, some grassroots organization right here in North Lawndale to curb the violence, right? Working with individuals who are returning home from, doing their time, and just, re-engaging them with the community, but also leveraging the license to operate, meaning that that influence that they once had on the generation when they were in the streets, now turning that into a positive and trying to bring those guys to, a better future.
Definitely.
We lacked a lot of resources growing up, but what I'm thankful for now is, again, like I said, Metropolitan Peace Initiative coming together as a collaborative. We've been able to service thousands of individuals returning home, but not only that, we've been able to provide safer spaces in the neighborhoods like North Lawndale.
Yeah, sure.
If you look over the years, the numbers will tell you we've been down 25% or better in victimizations here in North Lawndale. And that's not only to organizations like yours, but the collaborative, right? Getting folks off the streets, asking them, what can we do to better service you, and putting money in their pockets, right? When we think of violence, what's the number 1 cause of violence? It's tend to be poverty. And if we can focus on the poverty aspect and, give people a foundation and something to build off of, they don't have to resort to petty crimes. They don't really have to. They don't have to resort back to the lifestyle that led them, the pipeline to prison type of situation. But it's never too late.
Right.
We can if we can get them returning home, that's great. But if we can get them before, even getting to that point, it's even better. East and West, Garfield, Austin, led by Breakthrough at East and West, and then Austin, we have INVC with Austin Neighborhood and West Garfield. The North Lawndale Collaborative was the pilot to what we now see as SC2, which is Scaling Community for Safer Chicago. Okay. With SC2, it's the same thing as the North Lawndale Collaborative, just for East and West Garfield and Austin. Okay. So, we've been working as a collaboration, just, again, trying to drive down the violence and the victimizations within those 3 neighborhoods on the other side of 290. And this has been something that has been going on almost 2 years now with SE2. Okay. More organizations are joining on as we continue to build this collaborative together. And what I can say is it works, right? Nothing's perfect, but at the same time, having the folks that we have at the table right now are more than capable and have the tools to get the job done. We just have to get the buy-in of the folks, and that's the people.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And like
I think they warm into the idea, though. And they're
very
getting
much so
accustomed to, as a young man told me when we were doing our nonviolent police through the county a little over a year and a half ago, he was saying it's hard sometimes for our community in North Lawndale to trust, because so many agencies don't have what they call sustainability. One, sometimes because they don't have a great accountant like your mom that helped us stay fiscally responsible and make sure our record keeping was up to par. Because it's one thing to be fiscal responsible, but if you don't have somebody can handle the books, handle the different program requirements, the reports, or help make sure you get your part done, and then they do the other technical parts or accounting, then you can end up losing grants, not getting the next one. The whole grant cycle has its challenges, and you all have brought some stability to that, because you all work with agencies for several years, and as long as they doing what they supposed to, y'all keep working with them and add on, don't take from.
Right.
But that's part of the buy-in. A lot of groups, they don't trust the new group on the block in the beginning. So you got to be there 2, 3, 4 years. Then they're like, oh, they're staying. We can rely on them. We can depend on them. However, we lose, tragically, some important, vital lives in the process of them gaining trust. But it's another reason groups like yours is essential. And maintaining a base and then building on that base to further enter the community, build relationships.
Absolutely. And again, the goal is to just put the community back into people's hands, right? It's not for us to come in and take over and be sort of taskmaster. No, it's us more so uplifting the neighbors and the neighborhoods, and we following them. They've been here longer, for sure. Right? I'm thankful to have grown up here in North Lawndale on 15th and Ridgeway, right? We didn't have, not to say we didn't have organizations that help. I mean, we had
BBR a few block away.
BBR, we had North Lawndale. We had
y'all had BBF a few
past
weeks
the
over
field, with
the
youth center with LC Lawndale Christian Development, and so I think they laid a solid foundation for other big organizations to come in and kind of assist, right? And so now, if we look at North Lawndale where it was 10 years ago, it's a totally different place to present. And that, again, that's through collaboration, right? What we know from a fiscal standpoint is that a lot of dollars have shifted from private dollars are going away, but more public dollars are becoming available. It's just about, like you said, going through those processes to acquire those dollars. And that comes with folks who've been in the game a good amount of time. And so
full time sometimes.
Full time.
Part time sometimes hurts you all. I haven't been as effective and grown as much because I have a day job with government. And a lot of work get done during the day, especially building relationships and that lead to some of those grants, a lot of those grants. So the reality is I sometimes have to pass or you get forgotten. As they say, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So I can't be at those tables. I have to, I have to sustain myself while still loving the help in the community.
Absolutely.
So we do a lot of evening work. We even got in a little hot water over evening work.
No, look,
but we were honest.
Absolutely.
we on a restart, a reboot.
Absolutely.
We were totally honest, but some things got read in or that assumption. But we worked it out, and we came out with a great track record. People have called us 3 or 4 times, and we're like, well, right now, we'll hold, and we'll look at some other options. Unfortunately, the feds didn't work out because on the 23rd, 24th, those systems went down for them grants we were looking for the federal government.
Yeah.
On the 20th, we got a sworn-in new president. By the 23rd, those websites for the Department of Justice and all that help us with other federal funding to help in the community, which we were better at acquiring and could acquire with no problems, were no longer available and are to this day, at least till a week ago when I last looked or so, those sites are still being revamped.
Yeah.
And that means a lot of communities like ours could use some more resources we don't have, but thankfully, Metropolitan Family Services
Well, we
have them.
to add to that, what we may lack at the federal level, we now make up at the state level, we make up at the county, the city, and so we're thankful for it, right? Everything matters, and like with any challenge, we'll overcome it. Nothing's forever. And I know sometimes it may look a little bleak, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
What a sage.
But honestly, you have to have an optimistic mindset,
For
right?
sure.
You have to speak it. I think one of the leaders that I really look up to is Dr. Michael Bethwitt, right? He's the founder of the AME Baptist Church. And he said, I remember him saying, thoughts become things.
Right.
So we have to make sure that when we're trying to be agents of change, that we're thinking like agents of change.
Right.
We can't have the same mindset and expect different results. My mom would always tell me, you can't keep doing the same thing expecting different results. You have to change what you're doing to get different results. So I'm thankful that, we're seeing those changes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You are very right. Everything we have did so far, even if it's been on a part-time basis sometimes, and other times we had real robust grants.
Yeah. Access
to Recovery, we were one of the first groups in Chicago area, the state of Illinois, to acquire that. And we did some great work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we got Department of Justice as soon as Obama got in the White House. A few months later, we got to expand our services from Access to Recovery to also add a Department of Justice grant. And as you say, because we were thinking it in existence, we were available. The grants allowed us to do full-time services 24/7 for about 7 consecutive years.
Absolutely.
Then we went through a little bleak period, and now our name has been starting to get back out there, and I'm close to retirement, so I'll be able to, and I'm in better health than I've been in 20 years, so I'll probably be able to give 20 years part-time or full-time to just community service, and I'll be out of county government in 2 years max. And I'm looking at options, you all. So somebody try to send me to the right private organization. No, but anyway. Go ahead.
But I was just going to say, I think, too, over the last 5 years, right, COVID has affected everything.
Yes.
The funding, the growth of smaller organizations.
Yeah.
But now as we come out of that shadow, like I said, we have great days ahead of us. We have the mayor trying to do his best with what he can.
Yes.
And I commend him. And we're just going to keep pushing forward. No way but up. Nowhere but up. Nowhere but up.
The idea has been floated a few times to bring more equity to poor community. We have such a rich governor who loves to, he's been a philanthropist all his adult life, and he's taken on causes. Somebody said reparations, but even if he doesn't go that far, and somebody brought to me that presidential race was being worked on a year and a half ago when I brought that to them. Somebody do national politics and policy. So, and he's in the state now, I think, with Snyder. But long story short, maybe, too, some of that gap privately, he knows the community groups, nonprofits that's doing great work like Metropolitan Family Services and you all's a community partnership group that he could infuse a little more where we're lacking. From a philanthropic point, not as state governor, so much as the Pritzker family, which does education, does film, art, a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And they've done a lot of poverty programs, disabled. So it's not like we're asking them to do anything they don't already do, but in a few areas we know we want to continue to curve down and the drop in the violence and the gun violent deaths.
Of course.
And the destruction of young children's families through trauma, early trauma. That it's an area he might want to talk to the family or the foundation to drop a few extra million.
But I mean, so too, right? We would love to have that, but we also have to look at what we do have. We have workforce ready programs, right? Okay. So even if we don't get that donation, we still have ties to equability. Is that a word?
Yeah, equitable.
Equitable.
Yeah.
Equity.
Equity. Okay. Equity.
We still have the roads to that.
Okay.
And like I said, we have one of the best workforce programs right here in North Lawndale. And it's growing. So even if we're not getting that the Pritzker Foundation monies, we still have monies in the neighborhood that have been allocated to us to not only school folks, but put them in a career path that they can be successful in. I think the biggest thing is, like you said before, getting the folks to trust us, right? They see you come into the neighborhood, then they see you go. And so sustainability. With the workforce program, you have sustainability. You have job options. You have career options, schools. If you're a resident, you know, depending on what programs you go to school, City of Chicago schools for free.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
So those are avenues to take advantage of. We have one of the greatest cities in the world.
Great education. Junior college system, bar none, is one of the best in the world, and people come all over the world to study our junior college system. They're starting to study our whole violence intervention prevention programs too, which Steve works with, and so
led by
So we are trendsetters for not only our areas, but the country and the world.
Yes.
Second chance, Congressman Davis' policy. We have governments that have studied that and taken it home to help with their ex-offenders. So you're absolutely right. We don't need to be scared of what we're in, the austerity or the limitations, but we found a way to do the unimaginable in tougher times.
We've done more with
less.
And
we're doing, yes, for sure.
You know, if nothing else is there, we've always done more with less.
Right.
And as we continue to just have a humble mindset, we'll continue to acquire more. I think it's important again to get out of this rut. We have to be led by people that look like us. We have
definitely.
I think that's important.
That's so important.
Being an agent of change, I became that because I saw powerful black men doing things in the community, not just talking about it, but doing it, and then being a part of it. Right? It's one thing to say something, but it's another thing to show you.
Oh, for sure.
So seeing is believing. So I think the more that we have, black leaders like you and others, at the forefront. The younger generation, I'll bridge the gap.
Oh yeah,
We'll bridge the gap to get them to where they need to be and to continue to drive down violence in the city.
Right. Yeah, I am so honored to have worked at Paderewski School, worked for Better Boys, taking care of state wards with that CDAC and the residential diagnostic assessment center when the state first turned kids over to private agencies. And with HSI, Donald Dew, we got a 30-year relationship started with me and being part of collaborative. He was with BBF Methodist Services. Similar to what you all doing to start taking care of the state wards and build out, and build up and help those kids. Then I have friends that worked in crisis intervention and all of that. But now our children are and our surrogate children and our extended families now, those young people, my nieces in nursing, you're doing violence interruption at this point. You've done other stuff to help educate more children. So it is great to see you all doing even more than we were able to do.
Yeah.
And not necessarily having more comparatively dollars value,
Right.
but the value you all have in helping and your abilities to use the computer and other networks to
technology,
enhance and leverage
Absolutely.
toward more equity even faster.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, look, we've come a ways, but we still got a ways to go.
You got 45 seconds. You can have all of it.
All 45.
Tell us about your program. Yeah, then
So,
you
again,
might get to hit up, come right back soon. A double header.
Yeah. Like I said, being in North Lawndale, you have organizations like You Can is doing great work as it pertains to CVI, being led by Krista Hamilton and Edward Galetti. They're doing great work. They're doing great work, and it could be seen on a daily basis. It's the summertime, so they do light and night events throughout the North Lawndale neighborhood. So when you see folks out there with jumpy houses, barbecue grills, tents, activities, more than likely as you can. So don't be afraid to come over and enjoy yourself and build up your community. Get back to a safer one. So
all right, we greatly appreciate it, and that's it. Hand Up Recovery Homes. You can reach us at 773-213-0802. And also my last shout out, give me that other 10 seconds, is Character Cincinnati AME Church is having their Reverend and Blue Jean Days. That means we'll be on 15th and Holman. 15th and Holman in Chicago, 60623 area from 11 to 3. And they'll give out school supplies, have jumpy houses, safe haven there, Play Street, all of that intertwined with what we do in the community every year for the last 24 years, I believe. And so join us Sunday afternoon, Character Centenary AME, 1448 South Holman. Official address will be on the street, though, on 15th Street, serving the community with spiritual guidance and plenty of fun and school supplies. Thank you all.